Hi, everybody. Thank you for being with us at lunchtime, right before the very exciting and massive keynote. We are here to talk to you about AppExchange for marketing. And I want to start first with the thanks to you for giving us 40 minutes of your Dreamforce 2014, and then extend a huge thank you to Joe, Gina, and Peter, who, as you will find in just a few minutes, are all accomplished, all pretty innovative thinkers in terms of how they approach marketing. But they work for really different companies, and they're using a lot of different apps. So this will hopefully be a pretty mind-opening session for you. Before we get into all of that, does anybody want to do the Salesforce Safe Harbor for me? Please don't make any purchasing decisions based on anything other than products that are currently commercially available from Salesforce. So that means you have a few more hours to wait. How many of you are familiar with the AppExchange? Okay. There were a few hands that weren't raised. I'm not sure if that's a factor of somebody doing something else, but just to give you a quick overview, it's a marketplace that moves very, very quickly. We have over 2,500 apps on the AppExchange. Just a couple weeks ago, it was about 2,500, and now we're in the 2,550 range, so growing quickly. 2.6 million installs over time. 44,000 peer reviews. This is my favorite stat on this slide. If you are interested in AppExchange apps, the great majority of the time you can jump on a listing and find what your peers have to say about how it works for them. That's actually how I found Gina. One of the apps that she'll be talking about today, I read her review and thought, wow, this sounds really interesting, and here we are today. 71% of all Salesforce customers have installed an AppExchange app, so that means that a very large majority appreciate the app advantage that Salesforce is bringing to you. And then finally, since we were here this time last year, we have 300 partners who have built apps for Salesforce One Mobile. As we zero into the world of marketing, there are 200 apps, more than 200 apps available on the AppExchange that are categorized as marketing. And as you'll hear today in a couple of the marketing picks, there are others that are not necessarily categorized as marketing, but really core to how our customers are doing their marketing business and driving results. The thing that I want to highlight with this slide, which will hopefully be a great reference for you later, is that across a lot of the core categories that play into most marketers' lives, there are a lot of different options. And this is something that is fabulous for you as customers, because it means a lot of our partners are really working hard to compete with one another, and that drives a lot of innovation. So that's a great thing for marketers. We have a showcase of all of the apps that you'll hear about today. There are a few that we're going to pass over really, really quickly. When we were on the App Story slides the last time we did this session, I saw literally waves of hands going up to take pictures. So you're more than welcome to do that, so it can integrate with Evernote for Salesforce, et cetera. But just know that you can right now jump on the AppExchange and start diving into these apps now. And I will, of course, post this deck to Chatter. How many of you are on Twitter? How many of you like tech toys, like chargers and stuff? Money? Okay, I can't believe every hand in the room didn't just raise. What we're doing here is trying to reach out to the Salesforce community here with us today. We ask if you are inspired or get some good ideas or have good ideas about apps that you share it on Twitter with the hashtag AppIQ. There's money in the game, $1,000 grand prize, but the real win is that all those peers of yours who can't be here with us can be exposed to a little of hopefully the insight and inspiration that will happen in this room today. All right, I will now turn it over to Joe Allen, who raised his hand in the Dreamforce call for speakers to tell this story.
Hi. So First Mile collects 12 million bags of recycling from the streets of London every year. We help Adidas shops recycle old shoe boxes. We help Twitter, Facebook, their head offices recycle technology, old computers and things. And we help all the London theatres recycle. I run the sales and marketing team, and marketing is vital to us because 90% of our new business comes from customer referrals. So engaging customers through marketing is absolutely key.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gina Price, Director of Marketing for Akamai Technologies. Akamai is a cloud services provider. We handle 30% of the world's web traffic, and we are responsible for making the internet fast, reliable, and secure. My role with the company is global, so I'm often asked, where in the world are you today? So in time, it's kind of morphed into where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. I have over 6 years' experience using Salesforce, and I am a certified Salesforce admin. One of my favorite books is Optimized by Lee Odin. It's all about content marketing. And my favorite blog is unmarketing.com, some really great tips on all things marketing. And you can find me on Twitter at Florida_Gina.
And I'm Pete Ceballos. I'm the VP of Marketing and Product at SPS Commerce. And SPS Commerce is the largest cloud service serving the retail industry. So we enable all of that great transformation that's going on in retailing today. We've got 55,000 suppliers and 2,000 retailers that use us on a daily basis to just make business happen. And we're the technology that enables that email to get sent to you that says, click on this link to find out where your package is. But if it doesn't get to you, that wasn't us. That was somebody else. But I've been in similar roles in different technology startups. I had a 7-year stint with 2 other partners running a venture capital fund up in Seattle, but now I'm back to doing real work. And I've been using Salesforce for 3 years. I've been with SPS Commerce for about 2.5. And my favorite book is Shackleton, the story of the guy who went down to the Antarctic to explore it. As soon as he got there, his boat got stuck in the ice, and he spent 2 years getting everybody back. Nobody died. It's a great analogy for enterprise software. So there's a lot of inspiration there. My favorite blog is Andrew Chen's blog. He's the guy who coined the phrase growth hacking, and he's just got great content there about how to market in a modern age that we live in today. And you can get me on Twitter at my first and last name.
So we decided to introduce ourselves this way because it has a little bit more personality, and we'll give you a little bit more context of the frame of mind where our speakers are coming from. And now we're going to turn the tables and ask you guys some questions. Would you stand up, please, if you are responsible for some form of marketing at your company? All right. Would you stay standing if you have an AppExchange app installed in your org that you know of? Would you stay standing if you have 3 or more apps installed in your org that you know of? How about 10 or more? All right, awesome. Every single one of our speakers today has 10 or more apps installed in their org. So if you're looking to go in that direction, and hopefully you'll be inspired to, this is where you can get some answers on how to get it done. And I believe that Joe has a question for you as well.
Yeah, how many of you, just raise your hands, how many are SMBs?
Small businesses.
Perfect.
How many of you think you've got all your marketing sorted out and it runs just like a top?
Oh, really? Sure? Like, come on up. All right, so now we're going to dive into each of these speakers' overall app story and then the marketing picks that are truly essential for them to getting their marketing done.
Thanks. So I came across, I used Salesforce for probably 18 months before installing anything from the AppExchange. And I followed the whole thing where if you can't do something on Excel, I Googled the problem because I'm not an Excel wizard. Or if David, who is in the office, if he's not in, I Googled the problem. And I tried Googling a marketing problem, or it's actually an admin problem, which was how could we get better data in terms of postcodes, zip codes, because it's vital we get accurate zip codes because our drivers have got to collect recycling. So I Googled the problem, and up pops a community page from Salesforce with a load of app recommendations, which led us to install postcode anywhere, which is up there. So, and from there, we've tried probably twice the amount of apps that are listed. Some haven't worked, but we've learned from using them, and the ones remaining are still serving us well today. And the ones I'm going to talk to you guys about are a few of my favorite marketing apps. So we wanted to start with this one because it really is so simple. It's completely free, which is the first thing. It doesn't require any setup whatsoever. It'll just put a tab into your Salesforce org. And what it does is look at your active campaigns and plot them on a calendar view. It's very simple, but you know, Sarah and my team had been through every iteration of marketing calendar in Excel, where it's hard to drill down into the actual campaign and see the information. So it solved a really key problem for us. And it now sits at the top of our weekly marketing meeting. The CEO views it, and we can give a top-level view on what's coming up, what resources we need, and what campaigns are happening.
You know what happened in our first dry run when Joe started talking about that? Peter sent an email to his admin.
We also use a ton of apps, and we're also in the same sort of ratio, so we're constantly asking the marketing team to evaluate new things. So yeah, this happened a couple of times where I'm like, wow, you're using that? And I sent something off to my team to see, could we go use that? How does that work? But yeah, it was totally fun.
So customer engagement's critical for us, like many of you, I'm sure. And we were doing email marketing in Campaign Monitor. If you're not familiar with it, it's just like MailChimp, any other email newsletter marketing service. But we were doing it outside of Salesforce with kind of the usual results. But it was only when we searched and realized they had a Salesforce app sitting there, which let us integrate our email marketing with our Salesforce contact and lead records, that we really started to see some progress. So, and we send monthly recycling statistics using Salesforce and this application. And earlier in the year, there was a great story on how this saved a customer. We had one of our largest customers unsubscribe from their recycling statistics, which is obviously a real concern. So it alerted the customer support center. They called the customer, and it turns out our contact, who we knew very well, had left suddenly. A new contact had come in, had never heard of First Mile. She was about to put in her own recycling company, one of our largest customers. But because we were able to have the conversation at that point, we managed to keep her, and we've still got the business today. Now, without Campaign Monitor sitting in within Salesforce, we'd have found out that that contact that we knew really well left the business 3 months later when we called them or when their order pattern dropped. But actually being able to identify it at that point meant we could save the customer. So really strong app, and it's doing a lot for us.
Raise your hand if you can say a business app has helped me save a customer like that. Nobody raised their hands. I forget nobody has the view that I do. No hands were raised.
So there's been a lot of the conversations I've had with people in the last couple of days have been around marketing automation for SMBs, and people have said, and I know we've had the problem where the budget for something like Pardot is not always easily attainable. So there's some low-cost solutions out there that will do parts of that process for you. And Daddy Analytics is one of them. It's a very small firm based in Hackney in London, so near me. And essentially, we were using AdWords. It's great. You get your, I'm sure loads of you guys use it. You get your keyword results. You know who's made an inquiry, and you know what keyword they searched for. What you don't know is, did they become customers? Were they even good leads in the first place? And Daddy Analytics is reading what keywords people have searched for, whether they clicked ads, whether it was organic, whether they were web referrers. And then it actually displays it, as you can see, direct into the lead detail page. So George in my sales team can see, wow, this customer, potential customer, spent 10 minutes on a glass recycling page, and then knows to send them the glass recycling brochure. So the sales team are able to have more intelligent conversations, and we've been able to optimize Google AdWords spend as a result. So as you can see, we've saved $10,000 just by getting rid of those keywords that were generating bad leads. It's a really good low-cost app. And then finally, this is probably what's had the biggest impact this year for us. We've got a field sales team. They go out in the streets of London, rain or shine, with a pen and a piece of paper on a clipboard, gathering leads and talking to customers about recycling. And they basically came to us and said, we're losing a day a week processing time to get these leads onto Salesforce. So we swapped the clipboards and pencils for an iPad with Salesforce. We found GeoPoint, which could map leads onto the Salesforce One platform. So now Sarah in the marketing team, instead of drawing a Google map and handing it on a piece of paper to the field member, she gives them an iPad that's got the map ready drawn. Inside it, it's got all of the potential leads that are in our system, so they can go in and visit them and know that the contact's name is John and that their current supplier is whoever it is. And that combined with Postcode Anywhere to clean up the data is having a really good effect. It's quadrupled the ROI of our field sales activity. The field team are happier, their jobs are easier, the sales team are happier, they're getting better leads, and the business is obviously happier with the results on the ROI.
And they're not running around with wet paper on the wet streets of London.
No, exactly. Waterproof containers for an iPad is a challenging purchase. They're not. Most of them aren't waterproof, but that's another story.
All right, moving on to Gina.
Hello, everyone. So Akamai uses quite a lot of apps, actually more than that's listed here. But what I'm going to talk to you guys today about is really about how we've really created this marketing engine that where we've partnered with the apps and Salesforce to produce better qualified leads and faster sales. My role with the organization is demand generation. So I'm constantly struggled with how do I get sales and leads quicker and faster. So we're going to talk about the marketing ones here today. So we'll go on to the next slide. So this is one of my favorite apps. It's what it is. Conversica is sales conversion management software, and what it does is it engages with your leads and qualifies intent. What it does for us really is it allows us to connect with all of our leads 24/7. When you sign up, they give you a persona. Ours is Heather, and Heather works for me 24/7. She's always winning Employee of the Month. Everybody's always jealous of her because she's constantly working, never takes a break, and she's multilingual too. So what was happening was that we had quite a lot of leads that were going untouched, and we had no idea whether or not we were, really following up with that lead, seeing, do we really, take it to that next level. So when we partnered with Conversica, I was actually really surprised at how many leads turned out to be actual opportunities where we marked them as disqualified because when we first started, we said, oh, okay, these are disqualified leads. There's no intent here. We don't know. Heather's gone in. She's actually been able to identify these opportunities for us, and we're able to produce leads where we thought there was no opportunity. So as a result, what's happening now is we have a 24/7 follow-up, 50% faster engagement with all of our leads, and my reps now truly focus on warm leads. So one of my other picks here that's really kind of helped with the heavy lifting is Pardot. If you guys don't know who Pardot is, definitely go down to the trade show floor and check them out. I won't spend too much time here because I'm sure you guys have probably heard about them. But really what this has done for me is done all the heavy lifting, allowed me to track all my prospects, kind of figure out what pages are they going to, what are they interested in, score them, which is a huge thing. And then obviously being able to work really closely with Heather. So when leads come into my system, I'm able to tag the leads to her, and she starts following up immediately. So I love that integration. One of my other favorites is Conga. We're currently subscribers for Composer and Courier. What we've done is once Heather actually identifies that there's a lead that is that it has intent, we go through and we do a little bit more kind of qualification and add some more information to the lead record inside of Salesforce. Once we've said that this is a marketing qualified lead, we can pass it to sales. We click 2 buttons at this point, and we generate a report. I don't know about you guys, but my Salesforce has just a lot of information, all really good. But in order to be able to kind of tell the sales rep, they need to know very quickly, why is this a lead? So 2 clicks, we're able to generate a report and generate an email. And then my last pick is DiscoverOrg. So this is a IT database that focuses exclusively on the US, UK, and a few other countries. It's really great because we've been able to easily import leads into Salesforce, and we're able to keep up on IT projects. What it's done is it's allowed my reps to really kind of quickly identify, what are the hot opportunities out there. We're able to create targeted lists for campaigns for Heather to follow up on. And it saves a lot of time with uploading leads just with that integration. So that's it for me.
Perfect. We'll move on to Peter, but before we do so, since this is our last segment of marketing picks, I want to encourage everybody to think about any questions that you might have related to marketing apps on the AppExchange and the apps that you're hearing about today. So as soon as we get to the Q&A section in a few minutes, we can dive right into that. That's when these sessions are the most dynamic.
Okay, so a lot of what we've used the AppExchange for is to give us more scale across the company. Salesforce is basically the company's workflow. We're a $130 million business, and Salesforce is used by every part of the business to move a customer from a prospect all the way through to a satisfied, deployed engagement. So we use it to increase productivity, to help the Salesforce develop better dashboards and reporting. And then I've got a very small team. The Salesforce administration rolls up into my group. I got a super small team. I've got 1 admin. So we use a lot of AppExchange solutions to help give that guy a lot of scale as well. But in marketing, we've gotten tremendous benefit out of 3: Get Satisfaction, Treehouse PRM, and Informatica's Data Loader. And Get Satisfaction was something we introduced about 1.5 years ago. I had used it in a former life at another company, and it's a way to create a community around your products and your company so that the community members can help answer the questions and solve the problems of the community. So the customer service group was the one that spearheaded this, but this lets our customers answer questions for our customers, and in the process develop a lot of engagement, so it's improved our satisfaction level significantly. It's reduced our call volume in a year by almost 40%. And I think everybody knows that you would rather find a question electronically than be stuck in a telephone decision tree to eventually talk to a human. This has been a great way for us to switch that behavior to an online resource. But I also run the product development team, and this has been a great way for us to get ideas from our customers filtered back into the product management group. So Get Satisfaction is wired into Salesforce. Jira, who is our issue management platform, that's also integrated into Salesforce. So when a customer suggests a new product feature, that goes all the way through to Jira, gets assigned to a product manager, and then they can engage with that customer directly, and if it makes sense, add that to the backlog. Also, product managers jump onto these forums to answer questions for customers as well. So from a marketing and product management perspective, this has been a super great way to get closer to our customers and do it in a scalable way. We've gotten more than 70 new product suggestions this way in the last 1.5 years. And now this is a core part of our business. We've got 25,000 page views a month. And that started at 0 18 months ago. So it's been something that deployed easily and organically just took off. Another area where my team is trying to get scale is our business works by integrating our cloud service to whatever ERP system a retailer or a supplier uses. So to get fluency in ERP systems, we have a channel and a set of channel partnerships made up of systems integrators, VARs, and ISVs who specialize in each of those major ERP areas. So people that focus on SAP or Oracle or Salesforce. So we've got more than 500 of these partner relationships, and my marketing team would just be dragged to its knees trying to support each and every one of them individually. So we use Treehouse as a way to programmatically market to all of those people, to create a single message that we can take to the market consistently across all of them. And then we do a lot of trade show participation. We're in 37 trade shows a year that our partners are putting on. This is a great way for us to do the pre-show preparation and messaging, messaging during the show, and then follow up afterwards. But Treehouse is also the way that these partners register leads for us. So by getting scale in our communications and our marketing, we've also been able to increase our lead volume by 40% in the last year. So this is the kind of thing that we did as sort of an experiment, but like with Get Satisfaction, it's totally taken over what we do, and it's enabled me to not hire here so that I can hire in other places and become more effective and more nimble. And then this last app, the Informatica Data Loader, solved a really critical problem that kind of caught us by surprise. One way that we grow is we will work with a retailer who will want to bring their suppliers up onto a new set of capabilities. So they'll want to onboard them onto a new service or a new technology. And a big part of our business is enabling that with retailers. So we'll go to a retailer and they'll say, I have 800 suppliers and I want them to start publishing images for all of the items that they sell me. And we have a whole set of programs we can roll out in 90 days, have all of those suppliers up and running on that new capability for the retailer. It's a huge source of new business for us and a way that retailers can get more nimble and agile in the market. And the way we've managed this is with people and spreadsheets historically. So I've got a team of about 12 people, and this is all they do, is construct these programs, roll them out, and then orchestrate all the communications with email and spreadsheets, which we all know how scalable that is. So about 6 months ago, we used Informatica to take all the information out of Salesforce about these programs, because since everything runs on Salesforce in our business, that was easy to do, and have that data populate a web app where a retailer could log into it and find out what is the status of this program. How many of these suppliers are compliant right now? How many are still in testing? How many failed compliance? How many said they don't want to do this? And they can find out at an aggregate level, or they can drill down to the individual company and get the exact status of that company in real time. This solved another problem for us, because as soon as you send the spreadsheet, it's out of date. So like with Get Satisfaction, this improved satisfaction with the retailers and the suppliers dramatically, but it increased our ability to roll these programs out. We're rolling out 500 or more than 500 of these a year, and 2,500 new vendors come on board to new capabilities every month. So this has literally enabled me to not hire people to solve this problem, so I can put them in other places and give us machine-driven scale that's now powering a huge growth segment of our business.
So I would say that we've spanned the gamut of types of apps that are in the marketing category that you can use in your business, from simple and free, install it and turn it on and go, to I've now heard the Informatica Data Loader story 5 times or so, and the complexity and the cool factor still kind of puts me in a spin cycle. We have about 11 minutes left, and I hope that we'll have some good dynamic Q&A. These are true, well, experts when it comes to using apps for marketing. So, question number 1.
Nice job, guys. That was really good. Very helpful to hear some of the apps that you're using. I have not been very involved in the AppExchange, so this is very insightful. Peter, for you on the Get Satisfaction, was this the first time that you all have experimented with community-based customer support?
Yeah, this was one of these embarrassing parts of our business where we were handling customer support the same way you did before the internet was invented. I mean, it was all talking to people on telephones. So it was kind of embarrassing to have these people go, oh wow, there's this thing called the internet and we can do this with communities, and it just took off.
Well, you're not alone. I am from a company that still does that and is led by a lot of control freaks. And so this is going to be hard to implement, but it's something that I want to implement. And I was even, this was stupid on my part, but as bold as to tell our executive leadership that I think marketing can decrease call volume by 20% based on some of the things that I want to put in place. So that blew their lid because I want to obviously decrease that call volume into our client services group. So when you quoted you had a reduction of 37%, that is really amazing with huge implications.
Actually, you bring up a really good point that the biggest issue that team had to get comfortable with was get satisfaction is completely transparent. So if somebody says something critical about your company, you can't delete it. And get satisfaction's policies are pretty clear. If you start deleting stuff like that, you completely pollute the integrity of the relationship you've got with that customer. So when that goes up there, you have to be a big organization and respond to it in a constructive way that people can say, wow, the way they responded to that makes me trust them even more. But once we rolled it out, all of the fears everyone had never materialized. We weren't flooded with negative comments, and when we got them, we responded well, and it just kept the feedback loop going even faster.
Good, thank you.
I have a question for the audience. How many of you are involved in the Salesforce Success community? There is a massive resource just waiting for you to tap into it. We have 1.2 million members of our Success community, which of course runs on Salesforce Community Cloud. And the interaction there and the help that goes on is just as unbelievable as Dreamforce itself. And then another note, if you're looking for more justification and stats, the Salesforce blog, since we have several products that are in the service industry with Desk.com and the Service Cloud, there's a lot of additional information about how service and marketing interrelate. Next question.
Hi. This is actually a question for Gina. You mentioned Conversica. I'm curious to know, but you also use Pardot. What does Conversica do that Pardot doesn't do for follow-up? Is Conversica an actual person, or is it an automated response? Where is the handoff, I guess, between, or how do those two differ from each other or work together?
Sure. So Conversica, a lot of people think Heather really is real, first and foremost. She's been asked out on dates, gets regular job offers, and a few of my fellow employees actually were very surprised to learn about Heather because she has a LinkedIn profile. So it's just kind of a funny story. But how the two interact are really about, so Pardot brings in the leads into Salesforce for us. So it does all the heavy lifting, and it tags it to campaigns, it assigns it to people, it appends some information depending on where they came from. Once that lead comes into Salesforce, we need it to be engaged with, and we need to qualify the intent. So enter Conversica, enter Heather. So Heather takes it to that next level. We actually, at this point, don't even have the rep involved until we actually know that lead is truly qualified and there's intent there for them to follow up on. So like I said, we have them just focus on truly warm leads.
Peter, what's your Heather's name?
Actually, as a result of this whole session, I went down and checked them out yesterday too, and I'm going to get a demo next week. And we're thinking of Neptune.
I asked him since we saw each other less than 24 hours ago, what his highlights were, and he turned right to Gina and he said, I went to see those Heather people.
Heather's people.
This is less of a question, more of a follow-up. I use GeoPoint on the regular, and Joe was talking about how it applies to his company doing routes and whatnot. But as a marketer's perspective, GeoPoint you can leverage your whole database, so you can do targeted email campaigns and reference local customer accounts, things of that nature. I find that as a marketer more powerful than, well, it's just different applications, I guess you could say, of GeoPoint. So I just wanted to bring that up so everybody else would know. And no, I don't work for GeoPoint.
Thank you so much for offering that.
It's a really good point, because we did so in Islington in London, our biggest competitors, the local council, the borough, and they went on strike in August. So we used GeoPoint to target the whole area with an email marketing campaign. So yeah, there's great case uses for GeoPoint as a marketing tool.
Where'd you go? Can you share with us what company or what kind of company you work for?
Yeah, I work for a software company that does project information management for the construction field.
Okay.
We also do a lot of user conferences because we handle over 10,000 construction projects every day.
Yeah.
We're doing a 10-city user conference right now, so I was in charge of getting all of our users to the different road shows, and I leveraged GeoPoint for that. So.
All right, awesome. We have about 5 more minutes on the clock, and I'm very happy to keep this conversation going, but I also recognize that there are probably a number of you who want to go get in line. So if you want to go get in line, feel free to make your way out. We will not be offended at all.
I have a question for Peter. So you mentioned that you leverage communities for your customer support, but then you're leveraging a Treehouse PRM for your partners. Can you elaborate on, why each platform?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. They both have a community component, but Get Satisfaction is more about people coming together to talk to each other, and Treehouse is more about giving a scalable outbound communication. It's also got a bunch of functionality so that our channel partners can register leads there, so that's how they make sure they get paid. So there's a bunch of functionality that Treehouse has that Get Satisfaction doesn't, but the main reason we use Treehouse is to do sort of one-to-many communication and then lead registration.
Thank you.
Hi, I actually have a question, maybe not applicable to anybody specifically. We just implemented Sales Cloud for about 40 users 6 weeks ago, so the concept of an app is new. And from a marketing perspective, we're actually looking to use more of, think like ad agency, workflow, project management kind of things, and leverage Salesforce technology for that. And I didn't know if anybody had project management apps that they love or suggestions for that.
You guys have any you want to speak to?
Speaking to how we use it across the company, and if you come up, I can get you the contact info. I can't remember the name of the project management app we use, but we just rolled one out 4 months ago because the people implementing all of our projects needed a more scalable way to communicate with the people they're working with at the retailers and suppliers, and they were doing that with email. So now we have a project management app we've used from the AppExchange to set up a project schedule, to assign ownership, to notify people when milestones have been hit, but we automated all of that about 4 months ago.
Okay, I'll stick around. Thanks.
There are a number of fabulous apps that do exactly what you're talking about. If literally project management is, I think, the number 3 search term on the AppExchange. That should tell you something. So if you just do a quick search, you'll come across TaskRay, and they have a campaign calendar app, and there are a number of different apps that will help you out a lot.
And they're free too.
Some of the feedback that I got was that we don't want to have to do tons of customization, and B, that it needs to be super easy for people to use. And some of them looked pretty intense.
Yeah, I would zero in on TaskRay and the ones that will come up as competitive to them.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, this is for Joe. You use Campaign Monitor for email marketing. Yeah. Can you tell us why you chose Campaign Monitor?
It wasn't a particularly sophisticated decision. It was well, we were using it just because it was something Sarah and my team had used before. And then when we looked at integrating it with Salesforce, we looked at a few of the different vendors and who'd be best to handle that kind of putting people into programs of emails. And Campaign Monitor makes automatic subscriptions really easy. Their whole focus is being able to subscribe someone based on what's going on in Salesforce to a particular marketing list. So if we get a new customer, they get subscribed to the new customer chain of emails. If they've got 5 service issues in a month, they get subscribed to a back on track chain of emails. So it really helps us do some basic drip marketing. So yeah, that was the decision. But I think Mailchimp's got a decent app out there too, if that's what you're currently using.
Thanks.
All right, 30 seconds left. Last one. Okay, we're going to say thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Dreamforce. And you can find the deck online within the next 24 hours. And there will also be a recording with audio and slides on YouTube. And I'll post it as soon as we have it within the next couple weeks. Thanks, everybody.